I really felt prompted to talk about something that is so alive in my work these days. This past year, more than ever before, I have really experienced a beautiful wave of men and women who are really working out what does it mean to be connected, in tune with, and living from your sexuality. It's often so powerful to listen to the stories of my clients who, and my friends, and my own story of how we have all in our own way lived in deeply repressive upbringings and environments, whether that be culturally. I have a client at the moment whose cultural upbringing was so extremely different from mine. And yet there are still common, strong threads of mutual experience. And I have another client whose cultural experience is the same, but whose parental experience was very different to mine, but still these common threads. And then I have clients who were raised in many different generations to me, and yet these common threads remain. And the common thread that I want to talk about today that really feels like alive in my body, I'm working with someone this week who is bringing a lot of this up in my own body, is the thread, the common thread that most of us share with the disconnection to sexuality, sensuality, to our eros, and that the misunderstanding and the myth and the head that we bring to that is that we're talking about sex and intercourse. And I just want to, right now, stop that thought process. Sexuality and sensuality, eros, the sexual energy center. This is not about sexual intercourse. Of course, that has a part to play. But if you can, for this moment, just take out that subject, that pinpoint, and put it outside of the circle. And let's just keep the circle complete without that needing to be within. And let's just look at this. The majority of people I come across have been raised in a repressive nature. Our conditioned mindset is to really not understand, connect to our sexuality, our sexual center, the energy center of which, in my experience, my belief, my intelligence, my spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and head intelligence tells me and shows me the most important energy center that I have is my sexuality. And that my sensuality, sexuality, my eros is the greatest life force. It is where I parent my best. It is where I learn the most. It is where I am most creative, exploratory. I can take risks. I can grow much more wholesomely. It is that energy center that brings the right things into my life. It attracts what is good for me and right for me. And yet, connecting the dots for me was extremely costly. Extremely costly. And healing from my mindset, my worldview, my religious upbringing, from my shamed life that I was leading, for my heart space to have been limited for so long. for my body to have been repressed for so long. To recover from all of that took some work. And if I could go back in time, I would do that work over and over again, and I would do it younger and younger and younger. It's why now I talk so much about sexuality and sensuality and the energy centers of the body with my children. And it's a beautiful, safe and appropriate environment to be in. There is always the shadow side and the dark side to everything to do with sexuality and sensuality, of course, as there is with every other energy center. But this one in particular is more feared, more hidden, seemingly more dark. But I just would question whether that's the reality, or whether actually the joy, the pleasure, the freedom, the evolution of the light side of it is still not truly understood and recognized by the majority of us. There is something inside of us that feels incomplete. I can see something over there in some people that I like, that I'm drawn to, but it scares me for myself. What I have noticed in me is that the more I have learned about sexuality and my own sensuality and connecting to the truth of what that really looks like in reality, in daily life, in all areas of my life, the more that I've connected that, the more that I've worked on that with coaches and facilitators, with myself, by reading books, by having experiences of all kinds, the more that that has come alive in me and healed and restored, the more that my masculine drive to perform and do well and be driven and be achieving has transformed into still achieving and doing and performing in my life, but from such a different place. And that once the uncomfortable feeling of needing to be in my masculine to make things happen and to be acceptable in life and to be successful in life, and actually it wasn't really met with a lot of people loving that side of me, that way of me. They loved what I achieved, but they didn't necessarily love the strength that I came with. Whereas now I still have that strength, but I'm so much softer with it. I'm so much more embodied as the feminine. And I am someone that loves my masculine, and I love my feminine, and I love the dance within me between my masculine and my feminine. It's what sets me free. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I am not woman. I am not man. I am essence and soul and energy. I am feeling. I am movement. I am motion. But in this body and in this way and in this moment, I want to be primarily driven through my feminine. I want to be experienced in my feminine primarily. And so I have learned how to transform what was the driving masculine into the driving feminine. And just that slight acknowledgement is huge change. And how I am now experienced by people is so different. It's so different. I'm a woman. I am an embodied, beautiful, full, powerful, strong, vibrant woman. And I have to say that if that makes you scared of me, then I would invite you to ask why. There is nothing more scary than an embodied, powerful woman. But I also come to know there is nothing more scary to someone that is struggling with this, of an empowered, embodied masculine. And I don't want you to go away from this believing that I am preaching about the embodiment of the feminine, because what I am talking about is the embodiment of our sexuality and our sensuality, whether you are masculine driven or feminine driven, because within that there is both. And whatever is your primary, This connection to live from this energy center will ultimately see your entire life revolutionized, embodied, empowered. You will step up in a way to who you are where no other energy center has allowed you. There is a limit to every other energy center, but sexuality is limitless. If any of this resonates and you want to deepen even more, please come and work with me. Please come and work with my team. To start the conversation, let me guide you. I'll show you everything that you need to know. If you're listening to this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, which is very common, but you know something inside of you is saying this is making sense, and the feeling I'm getting in my body listening to this makes me want it, but I'm scared and I don't even know, I'm going to look silly, I don't know what she's talking about, but I like it and I want it. Get in touch. Get in touch, because I can show you what this is about. I can explain it in ways that hasn't necessarily been explained to you before. So don't worry about a thing, but listen to your body. When your body is telling you that you are not living fully to your potential, when you're not really able to expand to the depths of who you are and the heights of where you know you could fly to, this is your sexuality, and I can help you get there. And my team are ready to take you on a journey. So don't limit this opportunity. Don't put fear cap back on your head. Let's do this. It is the best ride, and it's safe. And it will ultimately change your entire life. I can promise you that. There will be moments of sacrifice and pain, and there'll be moments of such pleasure that ultimately you will look back at this moment and see it as the pinpoint of transformation.